Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it is December 30th. We have 2 days left. Well, a day and a half now of 2021. It seems like unbelievable, doesn't it? And I have been in my head thinking about my intentions and my dreams and my goals for 2022. I'm gonna make a list out of them. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna grab a new notebook, and I'm gonna sit down and write out my whole plan for 2022 and hope that it all comes true and start figuring out an action plan for all of that. So I'm really, really excited about that. All right, so let's read some meditations today. You guys ready? I brought the Melody Beatty books with me today, and I brought the Meditations for Living in Balance and the Daily Book of Positive Quotations. So I think I'm gonna start, well, let me actually just look at these really quickly and see what the topics are before I pick one, because it may not be something that I want to read about, or it may not be something that's super applicable. Okay, this is a good one, Order and Chaos, and this is from the Meditations for Living in Balance. December 30th, Order and Chaos. Are you ready? All right. You will thus find that chaos and order are not necessarily a pair of opposites, but that chaos provides a favorable condition to create new order. David B. Eller. Did you ever notice that when you clean your house, things always get worse before they get better? We pull everything out of the closets and drawers, sort and pitch, organize, and then put things back together. Or say we're starting a new project at work. We gather data and information, if we're a person who does too much, probably much more than we need. It stands around in stacks on pages of newsprint with little notes pinned or taped to the wall. Every conceivable surface covered. We feel completely overwhelmed. Then suddenly, for no obvious reason, an order starts emerging before our very eyes. If our houses and our offices seem to follow the simple wisdom about chaos and order, why not our lives? The problem may not lie in order or chaos. The problem may lie in what we do with both. The next time you are faced with chaos, remember the inherent order that lies within. Well, I really like that meditation, and I think I haven't really thought of things that way. I mean, I think that, I'm a believer that from our mistakes we learn lessons, but I had really never thought that from chaos we find order, But it is very, very true, and it's an interesting story, as I was talking about the notebook earlier, because not the movie or the book, but the notebook that I'm going to put all of my intentions, wishes, dreams, and goals in for 2022. I just cleaned out my kitchen cabinet up there, and it was a complete mess. I mean, it had books, Post-it notes, pens. I mean, it had receipts from 2016. It had everything up there in this cabinet, right? And I just went section by section. I had a trash can, and then I had like 5 piles of stuff I wanted to take to the basement, books, things I wanted to keep, notebooks that I, wanted, books I didn't want. And so I literally just went through section by section and cleaned it out. And that's funny because out of that total chaos, I did find order. And now I'm like, I open it, you guys, do you ever do this when you clean something? I like open it and just look at it because I'm so proud of it. And now I have like, all the Post-it notes and all of the legal pads and things like that on one side. I have envelopes and tape and stuff on the other side, and then I have all the unused notebooks at the top, and I just love it. And so it is completely clean. It makes me feel very, very good when I have clean spaces like that. But I do think it's so true, finding order in the chaos. I think it's interesting also when you think about chaos in your personal life, right? Like chaos with family members or chaos with friends. And chaos to me is always just kind of like, I think it's a little bit different than negativity and toxicity. I think chaos is just you think of a mess, right? And it's just like, you don't know how to make sense of what is in front of you. So if you've ever had that feeling before in a relationship, I would equate that to chaos. When, you are like, you have this relationship and you don't, like a home can be chaotic, right? Like, I think the home that I grew up in at times was very chaotic because my mother was an active alcoholic. So when I came home from school, I never knew what mom I was going to get. I didn't know if I was going to get, the sweet, loving little house on the prairie mom, or if I was going to get this chaotic mom, or this mom that had been drinking with friends. I didn't know what I was going to get, and yet it was chaos because I couldn't really, I didn't know what I was coming home to expect, right? So that's a little bit different than negativity and toxicity. Chaos is when it's just kind of messy. And, you know, to find order in that is interesting. As I have gotten older, I have still continued to be surrounded with chaos in my life, whether it be with friend groups or just things that have happened in life. And I think the question I've had to ask myself, I feel like there's something right on my hat right there. But I don't know why it's not. I have felt this way like filming the last 2 or 3 videos. I don't know what, it's still there though. Oh, there, it just came off. It's a little bit of fuzz. But this is something I have really practiced in the last year and a half, 2 years. I did a whole video on my Peter Does Stuff channel about the 5 lessons I've learned in the last year, and one of them was that I learned directly as a result of my sponsor, that I don't have to participate or engage, you know? And when there's chaos in my life today, I'm not gonna say that I'm a perfect specimen or example of this. I mean, sometimes I do engage, sometimes I do participate. But then I feel chaotic. Then I feel like I feel messy, like I feel part of that, and I don't like that feeling. So one of the questions I have to ask myself today is like, do I want to be part of this? Do I want to participate and engage in this chaos, or do I want to be removed from it and just enjoy my life? And it has really allowed me to just kind of stay silent and just sit there sometimes and just, you know, watch the whole thing go on. It's interesting because, like, this is such a bad example, but if you ever watch any of the Real Housewives franchises, okay, that is like the epitome of chaos, right? Well, my husband and I watched Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and there was this lunch that they had out in this peace garden, this international peace garden in Salt Lake City. It was beautiful. And the women have been fighting a lot. And so they all got together, and the fighting started again. And this one cast member, Heather, she just kind of stood there and didn't say anything. And somebody said something about you, and she said, I have been sitting here, I haven't said anything. And that's kind of where, like, I want my role to be. Like, I don't want to engage in the chaos unless I am, if I'm going to engage in the chaos, I've got to ask myself, am I part of the problem or am I part of the solution? You know, am I doing something that is helping this chaos come to an end, or am I furthering the chaos? That's the question I have to ask myself today. And do I want the emotional roller coaster that goes along with the chaos? And the answer to that, 99.9% of the time, I can't even think of an example when I would, unless it's really to prove a point that I feel is like vital to me. The answer to it is no. I don't want the emotional roller coaster that goes along with that. I don't need to be right in situations like that. I love the saying, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? And I think when it comes to very, very serious things, I think there is a time and a place for us to be right about things. But my overall happiness is more important to me, you know? And I have to remember that. So that was a great meditation. All right, let's just read one more. Let me look through these really quick. The dogs are like, you just had your dinner and now y'all just went outside, and they're all like walking and running around, and Boo Radley's over there on the bed. Okay, that might not be a bad one. Hold on a second. Let's see the meditations from Melody Beatty really quick. I read that one last year. I actually remember reading that one from last year. Isn't that funny? Let's see the one in this book. Okay, I read both of those for the Melody Beatty book from last year because I remember them. Let's read the book of positive quotations real quick, and it's about anger. So, here we go. December 30th, consequences of anger. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Marcus Aurelius. It's possible to have an ongoing feud with someone and then realize after days or months or even years that we don't remember what we were feuding over in the first place. Amen. In the meantime, we've said terrible things to each other, maybe even had a few fights. People sometimes hurt us, deliberately or not, in ways we feel justify our anger. But justified anger can be as harmful as unjustified anger. We can't do anything about other people and what they do. We can only change what we do. We can learn to release our anger. I may not be able to avoid getting angry at times, but I can get past it and move on. When I can, I will forgive those I feel have wronged me. I will accept that I have been wronged, but I will not wrong myself by holding a grudge. Such a great meditation, and you know what? I just had the opportunity to practice this not long ago, and I'm not sharing this to make me look like such a great person, but I just want to share this example because I think it's a pretty poignant example. I have been the person at times that has said hurtful and angry things, and I have wanted somebody to, you know, forgive me, or like, let's move on, or like, this has gotten way out of control, things like that, right? You know, and one of the things I've said a lot in videos that I really believe is when you stop having the fight or you stop having the argument, when you stop having the fight and the fight has you, right? Which is where you start off something simple. Like, this happens a lot with spouses and partners and relationship, I think, is where you have an argument like, you know, somebody says like, well, where do you want to go to dinner? I don't care. Well, I don't care either. Well, you pick. Okay, how about Chinese food? I don't want Chinese food. Okay, well, what do you want then? Pizza? No, I don't want pizza. And it goes back and forth. And finally, it's like, I always have to make all the decisions. You always have to make all the decisions in the relationship. You have to make, I mean, this is probably like an exact fight that Alex and I have had back in the day before we got marriage counseling. And then that argument goes on, and it's like, I don't even want to have dinner with you anymore. Okay, fine. Then we'll just do our separate things for dinner, right? And then the day goes on, and then it's like the next day, and then the next day, and then it's that emotional roller coaster that we have, that emotional baggage that we're carrying on the next couple days, right? And 2 to 3 days later, it's like, you don't even want to talk to that person. And it all started so ridiculously small, you know, and I know that there are a lot of people that are going to say, well, maybe that's like, you know, compressed anger that they've had over a long time, or maybe not. Maybe you didn't have any issues with that person at all before that happened, right? Recently, I had a friend that kind of ghosted me a little bit, and it really hurt my feelings. And, you know, I have found, because this is something new for me, that I'm starting to stand up for myself. And this is not a friend that I've talked about in videos, so it's not a Tanya Jean or anybody. We don't need to go figure it out. But it was a friend that I was looking forward to doing something with, and they ghosted me. And I was hurt by the situation, you know? And so they said something to me about it, and I said that it hurt my feelings. Now, one of the things I've learned, like I was going to say, is that this idea of standing up for myself, and I'm not saying like standing up for myself, but just saying like, hey, this hurts my feelings. Like, people don't know what to do with that sometimes, I've learned, but I am going to continue to do that, right? So I said, this hurt my feelings. No response. Days go by. I'm just like, are we okay? I just said this hurt my feelings. I didn't say I didn't want to be your friends anymore. No response, right? And so then, like, I said Merry Christmas, and they kind of responded very short, and I was like, this is so weird. Just because I stood up for myself. And this wasn't the first time that I've been ghosted, okay? This wasn't the second time. This has been several times this has happened to me, right? So I was like, finally, I'm going to say something about it. So anyway, they called me, I think it was last night, actually, and I almost was just out of bitterness. I was like, I'm not answering this phone call, but I did, right? And so I was talking to them on the phone, and I said, and they were like, how are you? And I was like, I'm good, how are you doing? And they were like, good, Merry Christmas. I was like, Merry Christmas to you too, you know, whatever, did you have a nice Christmas? And we're talking, and they said something about like, I miss you, and I'm sorry. And I said, I missed you too, and I'm, you know, sorry too, but like, it hurt my feelings. And they said, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. That wasn't my intention. I said, it's okay. It's okay. Let's move on, you know? And I was like, in that moment, I was like, life is too short. I do not have the time or energy to hold on to that anger. I don't care if it's justified or unjustified, right? You know, will I be wary of making plans with them in the future? Absolutely. Will I know that there's a possibility that I might be ghosted again? Absolutely. And the next time, I will say something again. I will say, and this is why I was hurt last time, you know? How many times are you going to do this? But that doesn't mean that I don't want to be that person's friend. It doesn't mean that I don't love them. It doesn't mean that I don't care about them. It means that I have a right to stand up for myself, you know? But I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to be angry at people. I don't want to be angry at situations. I feel like I get on social media and I see so many people that are angry. And I'm like, how do you live with that much anger in your heart? At whatever it is, okay? The universe, your mom, your partner, your best friend, just random people on like the internet. How can you deal with all that anger in your heart? Like, anger really takes a toll on us, you know? And I don't want to be that angry anymore. I just don't. So when opportunities present themselves to me where I can let go of that anger, you know, when somebody is sitting there basically asking me for forgiveness over something as simple as that, why wouldn't I grant that? I would want them to grant me the same thing, and I've been that person in situations, you know? I've been that person that's canceled plans at the last minute. I try not to be that today, but, you know, I've been that person. And so, you know, I think that it's important for us to, if we're going to be better versions of ourselves, to remove that anger. And what are some easy things? Because I can tell you, there are things in my life that can get me angry like that, because they are very true and deep-seated things with me that still hurt me to the core. still hurt me to the core because they were painful when they happened, and they're still painful to me today. No matter how much I have worked through them, I still have scars from the wounds that they have caused. And I probably always will, right? So there's deep-seated things. I would rather save my moments of feeling angry, justified or not. I don't even really want to be angry. But if I'm going to get angry, I would rather get angry over those things that really, really were horrible in my life. I don't want to borrow. First of all, I don't want to let things go, okay? I don't want to be a doormat. But I can stand up for myself and also not have to be angry in the same moment. And it's this balancing act that I'm kind of learning how to do, which is hard, you know? But I think it's important. I think it's important so that we don't constantly have anger coming in. Because if we're not letting it out in some ways, you know, and a lot of us don't know ways to let go of anger, you know. I mean, I held on to anger for years and years and years and used it for reasons to drink and use. I don't want to do that anymore, you know. I used it for reasons to be bitter and just checked out and had no emotional sobriety for years as well. I don't want to be that as well. You know, I want to talk about my anger and let go of it and be honest about it and let others do the same with me. You know, it's important. So holding on to that anger can really cause a detriment to our lives, and I just don't want that anymore. And I don't want that for you guys either. So anyway, I love you guys, and I will always on this channel, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.